Legends of a large human-like giant living in the snow tundras found in faraway untamed places, often referred to as the Yeti, have surfaced across many different countries and continents from all around the world. From the Chinese reports of an abominable snowman to the Russian theories behind national tragedies, the evidence for such a monster living in the isolated frozen mountains and permafrost has more than piled up in convincing detail over the years. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be going over these strange worldwide sightings of the Yeti and what it could mean for the validity of the creature and the gathered evidence. The N8 Ambassy Report. Back in 1925, a private photographer of whom was proud and widely respected member of the Royal Geographical Society named N8 Ambassy wrote an incredible report that baffled many and led to his own reputation later being completely destroyed. It was common for Tombazi to find himself in strange isolated places around the world, as he would often spend countless days alone in an effort to catalogue geographical strata or find new gorges or valleys in the hopes of making revolutionary geographical scientific discoveries in the field. As he found himself exploring the areas deep within the Zemu Glacier, Tombazi claimed to have spotted a rather strange creature standing no more than 200 to 300 yards away from him. The creature, as he described, appeared to be that of a humanoid creature, in which he writes in his report as, quote, "Unquestionably, the figure in outline was exactly like a human being, walking upright and stopping occasionally to pull at some sort of rhododendron bushes. It shows up dark against the snow and, as far as I could make out, wore no clothes of any kind." End quote. The sighting continued for a minute before the creature ran off and disappeared completely from his sight. Baffled by this sighting, he quickly gathered as much data and information as he could. He noted that he was at approximately 15,000 feet above sea level and gathered information about the bushes, plant life, and environment of the region of the sighting. Shortly after gathering this information, Tombazi left the area to locate his companions. When he returned roughly about 2 hours later, Tombazi and his companions scoured the mountain and found evidence of footprints in which he described as being similar to that of a man in shape. However, the feet appeared to be 7 inches long and 4 inches wide, but were undoubtedly of that of a biped creature. It was his written report and gathered evidence that helped to lay the foundation for what would later be considered the Yeti creature and would lead the first few expeditions into uncovering the truth. Eric Shipton's collection of photographs. It was not until the early 1950s that nationwide headlines began running the story of the mysterious and elusive Yeti creature that many would later go on to compare to the unending amount of Sasquatch sightings made all throughout the United States at the time. Back in 1951, a group of hikers were already making headlines for their attempt to scale Mount Everest and the endless amount of training they had taken to see the journey to the end of their life-threatening trip. The group came well prepared with the equipment and mental fortitude necessary for their expedition to be seen as a success, but most importantly, in order to prove the validity of their climb, they brought along a state-of-the-art camera to take high-quality photographs once they had reached the mountain's peak. Interestingly enough, the headlines that ran all across the country after the group had finished their ascent was not that of their incredible trek to the top of the world's tallest mountain, but rather of that of their incredible high-quality images they had snapped of what appears to be anatomically correct footprints of a strange humanoid-like creature living at an incredibly high altitude in the region. The footprints were originally found by Michael Ward and were later pointed out to fellow members of the hiking group. Eric Shipton quickly took a high-quality photograph of the prints while placing down his ice pick next to it to show the length and width of the incredible find. Many skeptics had argued the authenticity of the footprint, but research analysts have found anatomically correct details so perfect that it would have been impossible to fake. The footprint showed that the big toe of the creature appeared to be at the perfect size and volume one would see in a creature of a massive size needing for adequate balance, and the depth of certain areas of the footprint showed a correct distribution of weight that the hikers would never have been able to accurately reproduce. Today, the photograph is seen as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence of the Yeti creature, and even helps to shed light into its weight, size, and evolution. The Daily Mail's Snowman expedition. At the height of the Yeti craze and the fascination the public had on the strange and elusive creature, the Daily Mail worked to gather their own evidence and make cutting-edge reports on finding the creature themselves. After only 3 years since the photographs were taken by Eric Shipton, the Daily Mail sent out an expedition team on the 19th of March in 1954 to go out to the same area the hikers had discovered compelling evidence of the creature and begin their research into uncovering the truth of the creation. The research team found strange evidence of the native local population having symbolic paintings of the Yeti, as well as myths as to what it could be, with many of the locals even claiming to have seen the creature on their hikes. When the mountaineering leader John Angelo Jackson made the trek up the mountain, he photographed overwhelming evidence of different unidentifiable tracks of flattened footprints from what appeared to be a large biped. These photographs, however, paled in comparison to the evidence the research team would soon uncover in their efforts to prove the existence of the creature. As they further investigated local myths and legends amongst the population at the base of the mountain, it appeared that as the locals warmed up to the researchers' inquiries, they began to reveal to them the evidence they had gathered of the creature on their own. The researchers were then taken to a Pangbosh monastery in the region and were told by those who lived there that they were in possession of the removed scalp from one of the Yeti creatures. The monastery then allowed the researchers to take the scalp back home for further scientific examinations that were made by Dr. Biswamoy Biswaz. The doctor found conclusive evidence that the scalp belonged to no known animal at the time of its finding, and that it was not taken from an ape or bear anywhere near the region. Unfortunately, DNA evidence could not be taken from the specimen, as an unknown individual had the scalp completely bleached, and all that remains of the scalp are a collection of cut-up hairs that can be examined microscopically. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. Seen as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence of a Yeti attack, the Dyatlov Pass incident is a tragedy that seems to defy all natural explanation. According to Soviet Union investigative reports made back in 1959, 9 ski hikers went up to the northern Ural Mountains between the 1st and 2nd of February of that year in the hopes of conquering the mountain in the area that was already the centre of strange superstitions and was more than feared by the locals due to undying rumours of monsters living in the area. They hoped that by proving the location to be not dangerous by visiting the region, they could help pave the way for new hikers to visit the area and enjoy the scenic beauty of the mountain. Unfortunately, this decision would lead to the death of the 9 highly trained and experienced hikers and would solidify the superstitions of the area. As the report details, on the 26th of February, a rescue team had discovered the group's abandoned and badly damaged tent that had been established on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, the nearby mountain in the region. The sight seemed perplexing to the rescue team as it became apparent that the tent had thread tearings consistent with evidence of the fabric having been cut open from the inside, as if the group had begun panicking and cut through the tent in an effort to get away from something that was attacking them. The bodies of each of the individuals in the group were found in a nearby ravine after following their tracks in the snow, which only led to more mysteries as the majority of the bodies recovered were dressed only in their underwear, as if they ran out into the darkness of the snow without first getting dressed and then presumably froze to death. As the investigation continued and the bodies of the deceased were put under examination, the theory of hypothermia soon came into question. Top medical examiners of the Soviet Union at the time had discovered that each person in the group had suffered from internal injuries with forces commonly seen in a car crash or after a massive amount of pressure and forces comes into striking contact of an individual. This has led many to believe that perhaps the individuals were attacked by a non-human entity capable of causing such terrible force and leading to their deaths. Considering the fact that myths of Yeti-like creatures were known to exist all throughout the region, with beliefs that these creatures were capable of performing superhuman acts of strength, this led many to believe that perhaps the group was attacked by a Yeti, and that their remains, injuries, and crime scene was evidence of this attack. But what do you all think of these strange and frightening sightings of the Yeti creature all around the world and their horrifying encounters? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.